All right, for page 3, this really should be a page where you're practicing on your own. So try to do these problems before watching this video, and then when you get stuck, then go back and watch the video. But I'm going to work them out relatively quickly. If you have questions, again, I'm available for you guys. Just check the times on the banner. You can email me anytime, and we have a half-hour live session each week also on Wednesdays for you guys. Anyway, the directions here. Classify the following polynomials by degree and number of terms. The degree on this one is 1, so you'd say it's linear, and it's a binomial. I'm just going to do the odd ones for right now. This one is a degree 3, so we call it a cubic, and it's 2 terms, so we call it a binomial. This one is degree 4, so we call it a quartic. And since it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms, it doesn't have a special name. We would just call it a polynomial. All of these answers are in Schoology in the answer key. Numbers 7 and 9. So for number 7, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms. The highest degree term is the 4. So I'll start with 3y to the 4th. I'm going to cross it out. Now I've got a degree 3, so it's a positive 2y cubed. I'm going to go to my degree 2, so plus y squared, and now minus 7y minus 4. So that's rewritten in standard form. Now number 9, that has 2 different variables, you need to start with the a's, the terms that only have an a. So, and the highest degree would be the 7a squared. So 7a squared would go first. Next, you would want to go to the combination of a and b together. So now I'll write plus 5ab. And finally, the negative 2b squared would go last. And again, numbers 9 and 10, don't worry so much about writing those in standard form as much as numbers 7 and 8. Let's see here. All right, so number 11, we're going to add 2 polynomials together. So when you do that, you simply remove the parentheses. So we've got x squared minus 4x plus 3, and that's a positive 3x squared. So I keep it that way. So plus 3x squared, keep my negative 3x, keep my negative 5. Now I'm going to combine like terms. My highest degree is the 2. So I've got a 1x squared, and I've got a 3x squared, which gives me a 4x squared. Next, I have negative 4x and negative 3x. Both of those are degree 1. So I'm going to combine the negative 4 and the negative 3, which gets me negative 7x. And finally, I've got a positive 3 and a negative 5. Those are degree 0 or constants. So when I combine them, I get a negative 2. And there's that's the sum. And the answer is written in standard form, like they asked. Number 13 is a subtraction problem. So these are trickier. Go ahead and copy and paste the first polynomial as is. So I've got my 2x minus 3 plus 7x squared. Now, all of these terms I'm going to write down, but I'm going to write them down with the opposite sign because I'm subtracting them. So it's minus, but this is a positive 3. So when I write it down, I'm going to write it as a negative 3. This negative 9, I'm going to change the sign into positive 9x squared. This negative 2x, I change the sign into positive 2x. Now that the signs are changed, now I just combine like terms, just like I did up here. The highest degree is a 2, so that's 7x squared. And also a 9x squared. I combine those to get a 16x squared. Next is degree 1, so I've got a 2x and another 2x, so that gets me 4x, a positive 4x. And finally, my constants, I've got a negative 3 here and a negative 3 there, so a negative 3 and a negative 3 gets me negative 6. And then that's the answer. Again, I'm just doing the left column. All of the answers are in Schoology if you need to see all of them. Number 15, I just need to start by removing the parentheses. So 3x squared minus x plus 3. That's a positive 4x squared and a negative 5. So I'm going to go ahead and take my 3x squared and my 4x squared. I get a 7x squared. The degree 1, I've only got one degree 1 term, so I'll just copy and paste that, negative x. And then finally, I've got two constants. I've got a positive 3 and a negative 5, which gets me a negative 2. And so it's 7x squared minus x minus 2. It's a quadratic trinomial. Number 17 has 3 different polynomials. So the first polynomial is a trinomial, which I will just copy and paste. So 2x squared plus 3y squared minus z squared. Since I'm subtracting this middle polynomial, I'm going to change all of these signs when I write them down. So this is a positive x squared, so I'm going to write negative x squared. This is a negative y squared, so I'll write positive y squared. This is a negative z squared, so I'll put plus z squared. Since I'm adding this final polynomial or binomial, I'll just copy and paste it as is. This is a positive 4x squared and then a negative 3y squared. Oh, I ran out of space. So this one has two different variables, x's and y's and z's. So I will start with all of my x's. If I have any solid x's, I've got a 2x squared, seems to be my highest degree. I've got a negative 1x squared. So I'll start by combining those two. A 2x squared minus an x squared leaves me with just 1x squared or x squared. I'm going to cross those out so I don't get confused. I need to look for, oh man, I just saw I have another x squared right here. Okay, so I do need to add this 4x squared onto this one. So that was a 1 plus 4. I'm going to go ahead and just make this a 5. Sorry about that. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to look for any other x's. I don't see any. So now I'm going to look for y's because I'm going alphabetically right now. And again, don't worry so much about this one if you're not understanding what I'm saying. This is not crucial. All right, I see a positive 3y squared. I see a y squared, and I see a negative 3y squared. Well, the positive 3 and the negative 3y squared cancel each other out, so I'm just left with a positive y squared. And finally, I've got this negative z squared and this positive z squared. Those also cancel each other out, so this is what I'm left with. And finally, number 19. They just want the sum of these two, which means I'm just going to add them. I've got a 2x squared and an x squared. That's a 2 plus 1, gives me a 3x squared. So I've used that one and that one. I've got a negative 6x and a positive 4x, which leaves me with negative 2x. So I've used that one and that one. And then all that's left is negative 2. So there's my answer. I hope this helps. And that's the end of page 3. Thanks.